Hi everyone, welcome to today's AMA. This is for the Little Prince Game Jam. Do stick around after the AMA as I'll be going through logic and a workshop on the template for this game jam. But all the details will be passed over to Quarantine to let you know all the things happening with this game jam. Talk to you guys soon. Okay, all yours.
Hello, hello everyone. Hello Peter. Nice to be here. It's been some time since the last AMA. With today this uh, Little Prince Game Jam Tiny Quest. We just launched subscription 2 weeks ago. Pretty excited about this one. It's one of my favorite IP. I read the book when I was really little, and I think it will be like really source of inspiration for you guys. So pretty excited to talk about that. So as usual, I will go over the main informations. I also have some information more about uh, general game jam information and news that happened since the last AMA. Don't hesitate to ask your question directly in the chat, and I will answer at the end. So to start with, we have here our usual rewards for this game jam. Actually, nothing has changed in the last time. So we have 60k cent for winners, including 100 cent for participation reward. That was installed since I think 1 or 2 game jam now. One thing I will talk more in details later, but I can already tell you is that we're gonna stop asking for publishing forms for those who are used to our process. Usually we ask for a submission form at the end of the game jam with the submission. And we also sent a publishing form to add the details of the experience link and help us publish the game at the end of the game jam and send the rewards such as lands and catalyst. We saw that it was kind of source of confusion sometimes for you between those two forms, too many forms. So we simplified this, and now every information are asked on the submission form, so including the experience link, which you don't have to have everything ready at the end of the submission deadline, but later on to get the rewards, but you don't have to now fill 2 forms to get the lands and catalyst. So I hope this will work better than it did in the past. So now to reveal the theme. So for this game jam, it's gonna be a survival adventure game. We have a brand new template and a game maker done by Peter. And with the workshop, we'll explain a bit more about this to help you master survival gameplay. And I think it fits the IP pretty well. So what is a survival game? Basically, you need to have a resource system. You need to collect and use resources. I think a lot of you already, for the past game jam, we've done like some of resource management games. So it's something now that some of you already mastered. Have a crafting system from those resources and have a condition level. So it can be hunger, thirst, energy that will lead the player to lose if they don't pay attention to this level. That's what we're expecting for a survival game, but again, the workshop will tell you more about those mechanics. We have some restriction due to the IP, which is Little Prince. So basically, we don't want to have any physical violence in those games, and the Little Prince character cannot die. If you don't need to use actually the Little Prince character as the main character of the experience, you can. You don't have to. But if you use this as the main character or as an NPC in the game, it cannot die. So yeah, just dump it in the Game Maker. So I don't know if it has already been uploaded, but I think it was. And in the case, the workshop will tell you how it was uploaded. Thanks, Peter. And you can see it already. Registration phase will be by July 25th, so you can still register for the game jam. The link is on the event on the dashboard, but also on the Medium article. You can find on the website. And the submission will be 3 weeks away from now, so August 30th. Yeah, as you may have noticed, we try to communicate a lot on the forum when it was still accessible on our historical channel like Discord to help you, but we also have the forum now. So if you have any question, any feedback you want to do about the game jam, don't hesitate to join us on the forum and create topics there or answer existing topic for there is one existing for this game jam. Don't hesitate to post there. We'll try to answer you as much as possible, as fast as possible. We'll answer at some point. So that's pretty much it for the Tiny Quest Game Jam. Now I also have a lot of, some news about other game jam. Starting with the Paris City Jam. For those who are who participate inside this one. The SIP, so the Sandbox Improvement Proposal to vote by the DAO as ended this morning, and the quorum was not reached. We still had more than 350 people who voted, so I think it was pretty great to have that attention from the community, people who played those experiences. So I think it was a great experiment. Now that we don't have sufficient quorum to pass, it does mean that the DAO won't send the rewards. But as we said at the AMA at this point, we knew it was a kind of an experiment using the DAO. We were not sure of the results. So we're going to work with the DAO team to adapt more to this format, the game jam. Maybe there's a way to maybe lower the quorum a little bit when it's that kind of activation, but we will on the game jam side still reward the experiences. We don't want you to waste your time on game jam and get no rewards. That's not the point. So we're gonna still send the rewards. They'll be based not on the DAO vote, but on the vote that led to qualify people for the DAO, so the vote that happened on the forum. There'll be also extra rewards as stated in the Medium article. So for the one that were qualified, so top 15, and also there will be some extra rewards for specifically good monuments recreation or neighborhood recreation. We're going to take some time to check everything and announce that probably next week. So check our usual channel and wait for an announcement next week. But there will be rewards even if the DAO proposal was not did not reach sufficient quorum. Still, I think it's a good way, I think, to promote game jam content to the community. Don't hesitate. Actually, we have a forum topic about the city jams. Don't hesitate to post your feedback on the forum. And if you have any idea on how to improve that, I'll be happy to discuss about that with you. Reward status page. We have also on the forum, so I really encourage you to go on the forum. A new page dedicated to reward status. That's a current subject we have on Discord or when you contact us for directly to know whether rewards have been distributed or not. Since we had some delay specifically for lands and catalyst. So we now have a page on the forum trying to sum up for every game jam the status of the rewards, if they were sent or not. So you can find it there and see if you're missing any rewards, contact us directly, whether on you decide on Discord or on the forum, so we can look into it. That's why I just say and the publishing form. So I hope this will simplify things because a lot of rewards were not distributed due to people not filling the publishing form. That's why I figured out it was too complex to have and too much form, and I totally understand this. Which why we now have only this submission form, and I hope it will simplify reward distribution and we won't miss any. In any case, if you think you missed a reward, don't hesitate to contact us. We already saw, I think, a lot of cases, so don't hesitate. Also, we're gonna do soon. I'm thinking next week we're preparing this since some time. We're usually working on how to improve the game jam. We're gonna take the opportunity of the summertime to rework a bit some part of it. So we're gonna send a global survey about what you like in the game jam, what you don't like, talking about the process, the rewards, the application, what we try to do also with the city jam and the DAO, if you what you think about that, and try to adapt to do the best we can. So we're gonna probably send like a survey next week to the whole game jam participant from the past I think 6 months. But also I think I'm gonna create a topic in the forum. So don't hesitate to go there so we can directly exchange. I mean, you can do both, answer the survey, and if you have some specific topic you'd like to exchange with us, don't hesitate to ask on the forum so we can exchange with me, with V. Also, she's on vacation, but she'll be back soon. Talk about that. And that's pretty much it. So now I'll check in the chat. So for now, we don't have much question in the chat. When I say don't much, it's we don't have any questions. So I guess it was pretty clear. Or maybe I missed some. Oh, sorry. I don't look at good place maybe. Okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, you can totally. We don't have this time. So in the past, we sometimes had some um, assets that were wishlisted for you, IP assets that you could use. We don't have that for this game jam. The reason is that actually this process was so it was great to have those assets to build with them, but wishlisting at this point does not mean you own those assets, which is a major blocker then if you want to publish on the map. So we're trying to find a viable solution, a better solution in the coming weeks, months, to allow you to use IP assets freely and that you can publish your experience with. It takes some time because we have to coordinate with different teams and get a technical solution ready. So for now, so for this game jam, you can totally take inspiration from the character of the Little Prince, from the whole story. Actually, we have some experiences already on the sandbox. You can totally take inspiration from the existing experiences of the sandbox. The only restriction about the IP, I told them early in the AMA was no physical violence, and the Little Prince character cannot die. That's the whole the two restriction we have about the IP. Also, I don't think I mentioned this, but we have the Little Prince have an estate, and they will host, as we usually do, the best experiences on its estate. So you can have a game over if you want with the print. So actually, the first thing I'd like to highlight is that you don't have to use the prints as the main character. You can, you don't have to. If you want to, that's a possibility. And it's a survival game, so of course, then the can be a game over, but the game over shouldn't mean that the character is dying. For instance, just an example I got off the top of my head, if you're so if the prince is the main character, maybe survival is about what we're calling here the conditional level system can be the prince have the flower they want to protect, so maybe actually the problem is most the flower the flower dying, and if the flower dies then it's a game over, but the character of the prince doesn't die. So on screen he shouldn't die of falling off a cliff, he shouldn't die of being killed by an NPC, he shouldn't die of hunger or thirst, but you can have a game over on the Little Prince character. That does not mean that the character will die. I don't know if it's clear or not. But if you want to make your main character die, you can just use another character as the Little Prince as the main character, or just the player avatar, and uh, this character can die. It's just that the Little Prince cannot. You don't have to use it. It's a possibility. Uh, as usual, so I'd encourage you to use and to get inspired by the IP, which is Little Prince. So I guess having Little Prince, it's not like you don't have to, but I guess it's better. Also, it will increase your chances to get published by the IP. And also, we have in our judging criteria in the creative ID criteria actually. Part of which it's like respect of the theme, and as the print is part of the theme, using the law will also help you get more points. But it doesn't have to be the print's character. It can be other characters from the law. So if you want to make the whole experience based on the aviator, on the fox, on the all the characters from the book, you can, and you don't have to use the prince character. There are many great characters in the book that you can use.
We got no more questions in the chat, so that's all of them. Thank you.
Can we kill everything else? I just see that in the chat. You can, but we're not supposed to have physical violence. So you can, I guess, kill the thing as long as it's not a violent death. Then it's fine. All right. So if there are no other questions, we'll leave it there. So just so remember to submit by August 13. You will receive in your email boxes an email probably today or tomorrow to recap all those informations. Also, as I said, join us on the forum. There will be other information. There will be new topics for you to give feedbacks on the Game Jam program, and there'll be a forum soon, so check your emails. If you can take some time to answer, that will help us a lot and help us take your needs into consideration as much as possible.
One last question. Does it have to be MP or SP, single player, multiplayer, or can it be either?
It can be either, you decide, MP or SP. No restriction on this one. So the little priest, the AK-47 story will be wrong. Yes, it will. Yeah, I mean, would be fun, but try to avoid that. And also another question: are all the conditions mandatory, or can only some be selected? So if you're talking about so those two conditions, no physical violence, the prince cannot die. Those two are mandatory. It was an ask from the IP directly, so we cannot change that. About those three criteria, which are what is a survival game, it's more to give some guidance for you about what to include as mechanics in your game. You don't have to strictly follow them. But that's a way for you to be sure you're in the good themes. But you can learn more about survival games by staying for the workshop. And I think that's pretty much it. In any way, if you have any more question, don't hesitate to ask on the Discord or on the forum directly. I can answer there. And I see another question. Can you define physical violence as you see it? Well, any violence that will attain like wounds in any way for an NPC, a character. If you think it needs more defining, I thought it was kind of self-explanatory, but we can include some more guidelines in the medium. But yeah, any violence that attempts to physical integrity of a person or main character or NPC or even animals, that's physical violence. And if you have some doubts at some point, if you have an ID and you say, and you ask yourself if it's physical violence or not, you can also ask directly in Discord or in the forum, and I'll try to answer as best as possible. So if you have a doubt, don't hesitate. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I wish you a good game jam. I really can't wait to see those experiences. As I really like this IP, and I mean I'm usually amazed by what you're producing. So, and I think this time will be as good as ever. So good luck, and I leave the mic to Peter to explain you a bit more about the templates.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you for the
It was fun.
info. All right, I'll put us on Be Right Back, and I will start up the Game Maker and go through the template. Thanks, Corentin.
Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We're going to continue on now with the workshop. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And we can check out the new template together, which has all the stuff you need for a survival game. Let me just see if I can see the chat. Hope I'm loud enough. If you can't hear me properly, let me know, but I'm talking as loud as I can. Alright, so when you're in Game Maker, go to the Templates tab up the top, and you should see the new survival template here. So that's the template. So click on that one, and and then just create it. And then you'll have access to everything in the template, including logic, and we made some basic assets to make it work for survival as well. So there are new basic assets like a fishing rod, a bucket, a bottle of water, things like that that you'd probably need in a survival game as basic assets. So we try to do some assets to help you with the game jam, but you would need to make some other things if you got ideas. And I had to use some default assets because I weren't able to get as many custom assets put in. So I had to make do with the already existing basic assets, but they're all here for you to replace. So what I'll do is I'll walk through the template, I'll play it, so you can see the functions and the way it operates, and then I'll break down our logic and we'll go through that together, okay? Awesome. All right, so this is the survival template. Like all the templates I make, you can either start the game or go to the logic floor. The logic floor will have, you know, the usual stuff where it has the numpads and the logic and the explanation for it as well. So if you wanted to see what this does, you can press E, and this one tells you that this controls the day and night cycle. The logic controls the day and night cycle, as well as the temperature display. All timers can be adjusted to suit your needs. So there are things here that you can alter to change the day and night timings and cycles. Things of that nature. But we'll come through this later on. We'll exit the logic floor for now and just do a playthrough of the game. The game's set up so it's shortcutted, so you don't have to go harvesting everything. I've set up crates so you can just collect them and move on, so you can see the process. So welcome to the survival template. The objective is to not let your health reach 0. You lose health if you're starving, freezing, or there's traps. Collect resources and craft tools. You'll need an axe to farm wood, a pickaxe to mine stone, a fishing rod to catch fish. So now we have stats. You can see your stats on the left. We have hunger. You need to eat food or you starve. Energy. So we've got energy here. You need energy to perform tasks such as chopping trees, mining stone. If you run out of energy, you need to rest at a tent. We also have temperature. If you're freezing, you lose health. So stay warm at night by a lit campfire. So they're the basics of the game. And the first thing we see is a campfire and an explanation point. We have a message to let the player know. You can press E to interact with the campfire. So we'll go ahead and press E. It starts a quest. The quest is to find 8 wood. And you can see we can build a workbench here, which costs 5 wood. We don't have any wood. You can see our wood on the left here. So when we press that, we get a message to say not enough wood. Instead of chopping the trees down, you need to build the axe first. So I've got 8 wood that just spawn here for the sake of testing. Now we have our 8 wood. We come back and we build our workbench. So we've got our workbench over here. Okay, so we got another pop-up to talk about resources. When you're at the crafting table, you will see your resources HUD. So you can see the types of resources on the left and bottom. You can manually switch between the resources and the status HUDs by pushing down the middle mouse button. So let's go ahead and test that. If I push the middle mouse button, you can see we've got our stats on the left. And when we push it again, we've got our resources. Now we've got an indicator here to say press E. So what would we like to craft? I only have one asset here for the time being, and that's a wooden axe. It requires 2 wood, which we have. And then when we pick it up, it lets us know the energy usage. So we press 1 to bring out our wooden axe. We can left click to swing and chop down trees. Each click will reduce your energy by 1. Regenerate energy by building a tent at the campfire. So nighttime is coming. It gets really cold at night. It's freezing. You need to be near a lit campfire to prevent losing health. So we can test that out. There's also harvesting berries. You have to right click your mouse at the bush, so you can eat berries to recover health. Left click the mouse, on the left click, on the left click misc when you go into your inventory, and then you can consume the berry. Now you can see we were in the freezing temperature too long and we died. And there we go. We have we got defeated because our health went to 0. So we're going to restart that experience because there's a lot of reading and a day is going to night. So let's go back to the builder and we can speed run it. We don't need to run through the info anymore because we've already read through it. Okay, we'll collect our wood. We can go ahead now and build our workbench. We can switch between HUDs. We can now click the axe. So the axe, you press 1 to bring out your axe and left swing to chop down trees. Each time you swing, it costs 1 energy. We want to harvest berries and straw. There are other resources to pick. All you have to do is hold down right click to harvest them at the bush. You can eat the berries to recover some hunger. To eat a berry, press I and go to your inventory. On the left, click misc, and then click on the berry and press C to consume. So that's a way to regenerate some of your hunger. So we can go here and pick up the resources for the tent. If we try to build the tent now, you can see the campfire has unlocked new things. So if we build a tent, which requires 1 wood and 2 straw, you can see we don't have enough straw. So you can pick this up and it will go ahead and give you the resources needed to build the tent. So you don't have to go out to harvest them for the sake of testing. But if you wanted to harvest, you can just right click and you hold down right click until you harvest the hay. You could do the same for the berries. Hold down right click and you can pick the berries. And when you have the berries, you press I, you go to misc, and then you click the berry and you press C, and that will consume the berry. We can also chop down trees. You can see nothing happens when we left click. You got to press 1 to bring out your axe, and then we can chop down that tree. You can put your axe away by pushing the other buttons 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 to bring out your axe. And the trees will only take damage when the axe is out. Alright, now you can see it's nighttime and it's freezing and we're losing health. So we want to light the campfire to stay warm. There might be a little bug with it. Not everything is done 100%, so there might be a bug or 2 still because there was a tight deadline for this. But as you can see, we've got a radius. If we step out of the radius, usually you take damage, but it's the morning time now, so the damage stopped happening. So we'll go ahead now and go and build the bridge. So here you need to build and repair the bridge to get across to the next area. It requires 10 straw and 10 planks. You can build planks at the crafting table. So after we built the wooden axe, we can build a wooden plank, which costs 2 wood. We can build a sword, which requires 3 stone. And we can craft a coat, which requires 3 wool. We don't have any of those resources. You can push the middle mouse and see what resources we have. We don't have enough. So we'll go ahead now and pick this up. And that gives us the resources to build the bridge. Now we can cross the bridge into the next area. The next area is a desert area. We've got a merchant, traveling merchant here. Basically, he will give you a fishing rod to catch fish for him. And then if you do that, you'll get a pickaxe. So we'll click OK. There's a fishing rod. And now we have a fishing rod. What we can do is we can pick this up to collect the fish to complete the quest. Or we can go over and fish for some fish. We'll chop down some wood because nighttime is coming and we want to make sure we have enough wood for the campfire. You can see our hunger is a bunch of dots, and that goes down over time. Now we light the campfire and we wait. Ah, look at that. There we go. So now when it comes nighttime, it shouldn't be doing damage. It was working fine yesterday, but if you walk out and walk back in, it looks like it works. So the detection range for some reason is not working once it was uploaded as a template. Ooh, almost died there. You can't regenerate health in this template, but you could definitely add that function in. If you build a tent, we need wood for that. We'll come back to that. So you press E to fish, and we cast a line. And what happens here is you can see when that thing glows, you got to press E to catch the fish. If you take too long, you don't catch the fish and you need to cast again. So you got to pay attention, and when it glows, you press E. There is a 30% chance that the fish will get away, even if you do press E. It is an RNG based system. So I pressed E and I've caught a fish. Let's do that again. And we'll catch 3 fish. There's another one. We'll press E. And the glow will show up between 3 and 10 seconds. It is randomized. And we'll go ahead and just collect another wood in case we need it for the campfire, because we only have 1 now. Okay, so we give it to the merchant, and he will give us a pickaxe. We press 2 to bring out our pickaxe. So if we press 2, there's a pickaxe which allows us to harvest stone, or 1 which will bring out our wooden axe to harvest trees. And they don't work unless they're on a particular target. So if I have the pickaxe out, you can see that it won't harvest the trees, but if I bring the wooden axe out, it does. We can go into the mines. It tells you about bringing out the axe with 2, and you can see now we can harvest stone. And you need the pickaxe to do it. The wooden axe won't work. We're probably going to die here because of the logic breaking with the campfire and the damage. I don't know why that's happening in the template. It was working yesterday, but we can go through the logic and see what the difference is. But yeah, that's going to be game over. Better luck next time. But just to speed run, once you have the stone, you can build a sword, and then you use the sword to cross the desert, go over to this end, and then it will take you up to the mountain area. The mountain area is freezing, so you need a coat before you can climb the mountain, otherwise you'll freeze to death. And to build a coat, you need to use the sword to chop down the sheep for their wool. So you kill you kill the sheep to get their wool. You go back to the crafting table, build a coat. When you equip the coat, you need to actually put it on. It will stop the damage from the cold, which will allow the player to get to the top of the mountain. Once you reach the top of the mountain, it's victory and it's game over. So you can see here, the flag itself has the victory. And if we edit logic, you can see if the player is in this yellow circle, they'll start taking frost damage or just cold damage if they're not wearing a coat. When they put the coat on, it toggles that off, so that way they're not doing any damage to the avatar. So this is the basic concept. It is a basic template where I didn't really make a full-on game with logic that actually you need to battle to survive in depth. But I've given all the logic basics, so that way you can imagine what you want to do with it and then change the logic to your needs. Let's go to the logic floor. So on the logic floor, this is the main item that attaches to the avatar as soon as the game begins. So what happens here is if you go to the avatar portal, the spawn point has a play sound effect, and on start it will send a message interact, and it will send that interact message to anything that has the tag tool. And what happens then is, as soon as the game begins, interact is sent. This has the tag tool, so the avatar picks this up straight away. Now, the downsides to this is that when the avatar has a pickable in their hand, even though it's invisible, you can't use E to interact with the environment because you're putting something down rather than interacting with something. So to bypass that problem, when you press E, it drops this toolbox, but the sound component instantly picks it back up again. So you can't get rid of it. But when you drop it, it does send the message trigger interact, and in a small range, so in this small area. So something that requires E to interact, like the merchant, wouldn't be interact anymore. It will be trigger interact. Same with the campfire. If you wanted to interact with it, it requires trigger interact. And that's the message that gets sent from the toolbox that you're holding. It bypasses the drawback where you can't send the message interact anymore with E because of the holding of the object, but dropping the object will replace that, and trigger interact is the best way to show you how that's happening. All the tools are invisible, and what we've got here is actor properties, which will turn on the ability to push one, which will then turn on the visibility of your axe. And if you push another number, it will turn off the visibility of your axe. So the actor properties, you can see they all follow the box. The weapons all follow the box. And when you push 2, it will show the pickaxe. When you push 1, it will show the wooden axe. And if you push 3, it will show the sword. And they're all attached as invisible objects, which will display when a number is pushed. The number won't work unless you actually acquired that item. So you can push 1 at the start, 2 at the start, nothing will happen, because when you pick up the asset itself, then that message is sent, toggling it on to allow you to do those functions. And these messages turn off the visibility. So it decides to turn off the visibility of the sword, pickaxe, and wooden axe, and this turns them on. Additionally, when you pick up the asset after it's crafted, it replaces this asset here. This is where the damage comes from. So fun little tip: if you have parented objects and you replace an asset that's parented, it will continue sticking to the main object that it's parented to. So that allows you to have all these replace assets attached, and you can replace them with a certain message or condition, and that will still hold on to the avatar that's carrying the box. If you use an asset spawner, the asset comes out of the asset spawner but is no longer attached to the box. So keep that in mind. That might be handy for another function or logic idea, but I've used replace asset so that way it continues sticking to the avatar box. Now it uses the preset pickaxe damage. There's another one for axe, which is the wooden axe, and there's another one for sword. So when you pick up the object for the first time after it's crafted, it sends the message to replace this asset. Now let's go to the preset, which is axe damage and animation. So click preset and type in axe, and we got axe damage and animation. So it will turn into this asset here. This asset here is how it interacts with the environment. So when you press 1, it will toggle on this damage box. It has a visual slash, so each time we click down the left mouse button, we will have the slash animation. So you can have your own custom animations in VoxEdit or some sort of other asset. As you noticed, the axe is just floating when it's coming out of the toolbox. It's not actually held in the hand. And the reason for this is you can equip a weapon and send a message out, but when you take off that weapon, you can't turn a message off, meaning that the player, once they equip a tree chopping axe, will be able to chop trees with any other tool, because the message to toggle it on was only sent by the equipped message. So I bypassed that by creating this toolbox. So the player needs to have the correct tool out to interact with the environment. That's the idea behind it. When you left click, it uses energy, and it takes away 8 health to specific tags in a range, which is a tree. So when you left click, when you press 1 and you left click, it will remove health if there's trees in the area. It does the same thing with pickaxe. So if we type in pickaxe damage, this one here is number 2. We don't need the animation because we've already got it on tool 1, which is the first one we picked up. So we don't need to double down on the animation. But here it will take away health to any tag that is labeled as rock. Again, using the left mouse button. I've given the stone more health, so it takes more swings to chop it down, which requires more energy. So that is the toolbox, and this is the main thing that I created for this template. That makes it work by having the specific tool come out to my son's in the background, as you can see on camera. 1 second. All right, so sorry about that. And we also have the different collectibles. So when you pick up a object and that object sends out a message, it sends out the same message called add resource. Add resource is a single message argument used on all the resources. And all you need to do is just change what sort of variable is sent to the rule system when it's picked up. So here we got add resource as the message. It brings up all these fields, and we only want to add 1 to the straw. If we select the wooden bundle, same thing, add resource, but it's 1 to the wood. If we pick up stone, same thing, 1 to the stone. Hope that makes sense so far. If you have any questions so far, I can go over it. Hi CD, is a temperature logic done through math rules? Yep, I can go through that in a moment. Killing sheep is not considered physical violence. Well, I didn't know the rules for the game jam. I just created the template as a survival template. So you'll need to alter things in the in your game to adhere to the rules. If you think that killing sheep is considered violence, then I wouldn't add it. But Quarantine will come back with the definition of violence, and you can always ask in the forum for clarification on that. So with the weather, what I've done here is actually used a message argument to set the text in the variable as warm. So when a particular time happens, like the sun rises, the day temperature message gets sent and then puts the status to warm. When it's in the evening, you can see it's cold, and when it's at nighttime, you can see it's freezing. This is the daytime, evening, and nighttime weather. So this is the thing that changes the environments to let you know that nighttime is coming. And here is the time that you can use to cycle through. So here it's a minute 30 before it goes from daytime to the evening time. And then when it becomes evening time, it lasts 30 seconds before it becomes nighttime. And then nighttime, it lasts 30 seconds before it becomes daytime again. And then daytime is a minute and a half. And you can change this to whatever you want. So if you want daytime to be longer, you can change that to 2 minutes 30. If you want evening to be longer, you can change it to 45 seconds or whatever you want. And same with nighttime. So if you want nighttime to be really long, you can just add a minute 30 and that sort of thing. And you can change the, so if it's too dark, you can just change the light color of the weather, make it a bit brighter, but still have a representation of nighttime. Things like that. I do have additional things here for the campfire. So when you're near the campfire, it's supposed to stay warm. And when you're away from the campfire, it's supposed to be cold and freezing, depending on the time of day. Again, some of this logic can be more simplified or altered. I had time restrictions, so I wasn't able to refine this as best as possible, but I did as best as I could. In here, you've got the hierarchy with all your assets, and they're all labeled in folders. So if you want to know where all the things about berries are, they're all in the berry bushes are here. All the straw assets are here. All the trees that have wood are in here. All the logic floor assets. So if you click the logic floor folder, you can see it highlights everything in here, except this. I think I moved these in the last moment, so these are in the wrong spot. They might be under the campfire area because that's where they were originally, but I moved them. So you can check out where the assets are, and they're all labeled as well. So this one here is to purchase fish to the merchant. This is a purchase for the tent. This is purchase for the cooked fish. This is purchase for the campfire, things of that nature. And what happens with the purchase is it sends the message out to the rule system, which is resource cost. I had the same logic in the resource management template, the last template that I made, where you send a message to the rule system. It checks to see if you have that amount of resources. And if you do, it sends out the message, purchase successful. And it will spawn an asset basically that was needed with the message fish to merchant. So if we go over here, it's one of these ones, fish to merchant. So did you manage to catch 3 fish? We send a message to give the fish. It validates that it's correct. And if it's correct, it sends a message purchase success. It toggles on with fish to merchant. So as soon as you click it, it toggles on the relevant asset spawner. It does a check, and if it's successful, it will bring out the asset. If it's not, it will let you know that you don't have enough resources, and then it toggles back off. So this one here toggles it off. So whatever asset spawner or your thing you're trying to craft toggles this timed event, and then after 1 second it will turn off toggle. So all asset spawners will have that turn off toggle. So if you're trying to build a tent, if you're trying to build a crafting table, if you're trying to build a tent, it toggles it off after a second because it all uses purchase success from the rule system. If you don't toggle it off, then the previous one will spit out the asset each time, even though you're over at the other side of the map trying to purchase or build something else. Let's go to the rules. Sorry, before we do, the forest has a life cycle. So a tree will take 5 days to grow back again. I did have custom assets for this, but we weren't able to get 5 assets approved just for the growing tree function. So it remains a stump for 4 days and then becomes a full tree, which is harvestable again. So if you chop down a tree, the player waits 4 days, the tree is growing again, ready to harvest. Same with the straw. You wait 3 days and the straw will be fully grown. This one actually has a visual representation of it growing because these were already default assets. The bush, we did have a bare bush that I custom made but wasn't able to get approved. So in this example, we just destroyed the bush altogether after it's harvested. But ideally, you just want an asset that removes the berry from the bush, spawns the berry, and then after a day or two, respawns the berries again to pick. So you can have like this whole day-night cycle, which makes the environment grow back. So if you have a long period of time where you want the survival to be like 100 days, for instance, I don't know why, but there are games that do that. But it would be useful to have like a life cycle for your forest. And that's what these assets can do. And here is the replace asset, which will turn into grass 1. The grass 1, after the daytime is sent, will turn into grass 2, and then grass 2, after daytime is sent again, will turn into grass 3. And this is harvestable. So you got your animated decorated UI to show you your harvesting, so the white bar to let you know. These are the active properties to toggle it on and off. And there's a message broadcast to let you know that it's been harvested or not. Okay, this logic over here is when you have no energy. So every time you use left click to chop down or try to chop down something, it uses 1 energy. If you have 0 energy, you need to go to a tent and you stand near the tent and your energy goes back up. But if you use your left click and you've got no energy, you will lose health. So you lose 5 health each time you try to use left click when you've got no energy. So don't harvest anything if you've got no energy, as it will kill you slowly. Here is the hunger. So set hunger function. It uses a rule system to determine the hunger amount and then sends a message to change it from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 all the way down to 1 dot. And then no dots. When you have no dots, you start losing health slowly until you die. These functions here are for the flashing. So when you have 3 dots left, every 3 seconds, it will flash 3 dots and then no dots. It's kind of like a visual indicator or a warning to the player, if they're paying attention, that your hunger is low. And it does that for the 3 dots, the 2 dots, and a 1 dot. And it's faster each time. It flashes faster and faster as your health gets lower. When you have no energy, it will send a message to the rules system to pop up with information just only once to let you know you have no energy, to let the player know that they need to go to a tent, otherwise they'll lose health. Same thing when you acquire the axe. Then it spawns this preset. This preset is the thing that damages you when you left click. Or sorry, removes energy when you left click. So at the start of the game, you can left click and do things with left click. No energy will be lost until you craft the axe. And then that function kicks in. And a UI pops up to let the player know as well. And when it starts getting dark, there's a UI message that pops up to let the player know it's getting dark, you will take damage at night, go near a campfire. And that's the campfire info. Here's all the equipment. The equipment here you can replace. You just click replace asset, change it to whatever you want. You could change the message on collect, and there's a message on equip as well. So you can do different functions there. I did a stream, kind of half a stream yesterday on equipment, sending messages on equip. So do check the Sandbox stream from yesterday if you want to see a bit of functions for that. This fish is here just purely for the quest. When the fish is caught, it sends a message to kill this fish, and that kill message sends it to the quest to let the player know 1 fish has been caught. The last couple of things is hunger. As soon as the game begins, it toggles this on. It also shares a defeat screen, so if you run out of health, the defeat kicks in here. But every 5 seconds, you lose 1 hunger. You have 100 hunger, so let's say every 50 seconds, just under a minute, you lose 10 hunger. You can change that to whatever you want. If you want it to take longer or faster, you just change the delay that it takes to remove 1 from hunger. This is the message to start game. So if you want, I put start game separate so you can read, so you can go to the logic floor without the time ticking. That's the reason for this. So if you come to the logic floor first, the nighttime cycle won't start. This is to switch HUDs, so pushing the middle mouse button will switch between the stats and the resources. So this is the function where that happens. And I think that's all for the logic floor. Let's go to rules. Alright, this one's a good one. I've used a lot of variables. It is a single player game. I recommend making this a single player game as it requires a lot of variables and a lot of rules to get, you know, basic functions. But if you're able to get it working and flawlessly in multiplayer, go ahead, make a multiplayer game. That would be brilliant. But for the purpose of this template, I just made it purely for single player. Okay. So when a player joins, it sends a message HUD. I used HUD for, I forgot what it was. So what you can do here is you go to debug and click message inspector, and you can type the message HUD. And you can see all the things that send the message HUD and receive the message HUD. So we know the HUD is being sent by the rule system on player join, but where is it going? We can click over here and it takes us to the weather. So the weather will begin straight away. It will put on this weather. You can see it's slightly different than the default. So as soon as the game begins, it just switches the daytime HUD so it's consistent throughout. You have information to pop-up info, so starting pop-up info, so at the beginning you see welcome to the template. Here you go, there's messages for the HUD switching, so this is the stats, this is the resources, and you can just click on that to change wood, straw, plank, or this one here is like hunger, energy, temperature, that sort of thing. So you can change whatever you want there, and all of this is explanations. As the player progresses, you saw those pop-up information windows. That's what that's all about. So giving players information about the game and how it works step by step is the best way to do it. If you overload the player at the beginning with too much information, it's not recommended. Use Portal 2 as a good example, where when they introduce a new tool, they give you a small task or an example to use that tool, so the player gets used to it, and then you give them a small information about it, and then you move on to the next tool, and then you give them information, a small example on how to use that. So introduce things bit by bit. Here we got banner text, so each time that information needs to be displayed on a banner, I use a message argument. Here is key inputs. So when player pushes 1, it will send a message 1, 2 will send a message 2, and I did that for up till 5. And then you have middle, right, and left mouse button. So you can see middle mouse button switches the HUD. Right click is right mouse down, left click is left mouse down. I didn't really do anything with the up, just the down, but you can have different messages sent when the player releases that mouse. We also have a hunger math check. So each time the player loses 1 hunger from the message in the logic floor asset, it will do a check. So hunger will subtract 1, and then it will check hunger, which will come over here. So it checks if it's between 100 and 91, or if it's between 90 and 81, or if it's between 80 and 71, and so forth, all the way down to 0. And it sends individual messages out, so the dots that you see on the UI on the left show up relevant based on what your hunger is. And if the hunger reaches 0, you get defeat. So there is no health loss here, it's just straight out defeat. Here's the blinking timer logic as well. So this one here gives the warning on the left that the hunger is needs addressing, and this is where it's all done. I've also added here that set hunger 100. You can set hunger straight to 100 if you have like a special fish or a special item the player eats. You can set a value to full health, or not full health, but full hunger. Here is the temperature damage and gauge. So using the set text value, you can set the text of the temperature that is displayed, and it's using the message argument. Again, here it's a few temperature checks. If these ones may not be relevant anymore, I did kind of simplify things, and I probably didn't remove some stuff. So this is probably not functional. Maybe it is. So we've got temperature damage on, temperature damage off. So if I go to our campfire, I have temperature damage numpads here, and you can see we've got turn on temperature damage, and this is the temperature damage here. Forever, it will send a message every second to do night damage, and you can toggle that on and off with the campfire radius, and that message gets sent here, night damage, and each time that gets sent, it takes away 5 health from the avatar. And that toggles on and off too. So if it's daytime, it will turn off, and when it becomes nighttime, it will send a message after 3 seconds to turn this on, and that allows the damage of the avatar during nighttime. If it does damage or not is based on if this toggle is on and off, and that's sent by a radius of the campfire when it's lit. When a campfire is lit, it sends out an asset called campfire detection. So when you use wood at the campfire, it sends a message turn fire on, which then brings out campfire detection. So we can go to our presets, and here is our radius. So when a campfire is on, it's supposed to here have night damage off. So when you're in this radius, night damage off is meant to be sent, which sends it to here, and turns that off so the player does not get damage every second based on this message broadcaster. For some reason, I don't know why it didn't work in the example, but it was working earlier. But the logic is, it should be working. But if we can narrow it down, I will write a solution on the forum on how to fix it if it's an issue. Fishing as well. So fishing here has a spawn catch fish, which then brings out a preset, which is a glowy preset, which is the VFX. And there's functions here for interacting to try to catch the fish. And there was a spawner here with a preset, but I think I deleted that. So this one's no longer needed. You can just replace that with something else if you want a special fish. Let me go to the rules and I'll show you what the fish part is. So if I go over here and I go to fishing, So I've labeled all the rules as well, so you can hopefully go to it quickly. But we got special fish as the message. And what I've done here is when you cast your line, it will roll a number between 1 and 100 to RNG. And if the number is between 1 and 70, it will allow you to catch a fish. If it's between 71 and 99, there will be no fish. And if it's 100 out of 100, you can catch a special fish. So something that's completely different and rare. So 1 in 100 chance of getting this. So you can verify, you can vary the types of things that come out from fishing or increase and decrease the odds. When you catch the fish, it will add 1 to the rules variable to say that you've got a fish in your inventory. But let's go all the way back up. Where were we? All right, so next we have set resources cost. So when you purchase something or try to craft something, we use the message resource cost. What it will do is it will set the resources in the message argument into each category. So let me go to the resource cost area of the template, which is here. So if we wanted to say build a wooden axe, we send a message wooden axe, which then sends a message resource cost, and the resource cost is 0 for everything except for wood, which is 2. So that will come to the rule system and set the wood to 2 and everything else to 0. And then what happens straight away is that there's a gap, and then it does a check. So delay check. And what it's going to do, it's going to check if your wood is greater than equals to the cost of the wood. So is the amount of wood that you're holding equals to or greater to the wood that's required by the cost, which is what we set up here. And if it is, it will move on to the next check, which will be straw, and then it will check plank, and then it will check meat. And since these are all 0, it will just go yes, 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 until the end, and it'll be success. But if you had like stone and you had no stone, it will say nope, you don't have enough stone. Then it will send a message over here to say you don't have enough stone, which is here. So we got messages to stop the chain if you don't have enough, and then let the player know why the transaction failed, because you don't have this particular resource. And that message here gets sent, so not enough wood, gets sent to the banner. So the banner pops up for 1 second and puts the text based on this message argument to let the player know why they couldn't purchase it. Here also is subtract the cost. So if it's successful, purchase success, it's going to subtract the wood cost or the straw cost or the plank cost. So whatever we set up here, so it was 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, it will remove 2 wood, 0 straw, 0 plank, 0 meat, 0 stone, whatever the case is for whatever you set as a resource cost. Add resources is another one. So here, when you pick up an object like the hay, the straw, I should say, it sends a message add resource. If you did stone, it will send a message add resource and have 1 for stone. That goes to the rules. That goes here to add resource, and all it does is add the variable or variables of the values that you put here. So in this case, if you picked up the stone, it will go and add everything in here. So it'll add 0 wood, 0 straw, 0 berries, and it'll add 1 stone. So that's how you do that. Here's the fishing. So when the player casts a fish, it will roll a number between 3 and 15 to RNG2. Then it will start a timer. Once that timer reaches 0, I think, then the cast will come out and say, do you want to catch the fish? So that VFX. So all of this affects the logic, the fishing logic, which is down here. So all of this numpads that are stacked all have a function for special fish, for fish caught, for failed catch, and for no fish. And this one here is for the cast. So when it casts, then you have the visibility of the fishing rod, resetting. There's the timer. So the timer goes on forever, every second, and turns on when you start the fish timer and turns off when you spawn to catch fish. And then there's a message to let you know when you've cast, that you've cast your fishing line. Next we have energy usage. So each time you press left click, you will use 1 energy and you'll subtract it from the energy. It will do a comparison to see if you have 0, less than 0, and if you do, no energy will set back to 0, because if you keep left clicking after 0, it will go -1, -2, -3, -4. So we've got some sort of logic to compare that if it's less than 0, set it back to 0 so you don't keep going into the negative. Yeah, and then we have energy up. So when you're near the tent, you can regenerate your energy. And once it's hit 100, that's your maximum value, it will turn off the energy. Campfire timer. Again, if you light the campfire, there's a timer and it goes for 25 seconds. And then once it reaches, the campfire timer reaches less than or equals to 1, it will turn off the campfire, and then campfire will set the campfire timer back to 0. If you use the campfire, relight the campfire while it's still on, all it will do is set the value back to 25. So you can never have longer than 25 seconds. Doesn't matter how much wood that you chuck to the fire. Eating berry. So eating the berries will regenerate some of your hunger, but I also added the ability to be a bad berry. So when you eat the berry, it will roll a number between 1 and 10. And if the number is between 1 and 8, it's a good berry and you'll get hunger up. If it's between 9 and 10, it will be a bad berry. And what bad berry will do is it will drain all your energy. So instead of poisoning the player, it just drains their energy from full to empty. So eating berries has a bit of an RNG risk, and you need to go to a tent to kind of regenerate your energy again. But that's all of it. That is all the logic that I've gone through. These boxes here are just to shortcut for testing, so you don't have to go harvesting all the minerals and materials to build the bridge and build the tent. You could just collect these boxes to get the resources. Of course, you can just delete those if you want the game to be played normally. They're just there for you guys, so you don't have to sit there testing it out by chopping all the trees down and then crafting all the planks. It's just a bit of a shortcut. Same with these. I originally had these wood, beginning wood, just spread out across the map, so the player has to go and look for the loose wood to craft a wooden axe, which then allows them to chop down trees to get unlimited wood as they need it. But for the sakes of testing, I just put them all there together, so that way you can just, you know, grab the wood as you need it. And here as well, when you build a bench, it detects the tag bench and then sends the message only once, so it triggers a UI, and that way after an action has been done, like an axe has been made, I can send a message out, so only once, to trigger things on and off, so that way I can have a HUD or information to tell a player this has occurred and you should know this now because that event has happened. And here we got for askers for the crafting table. So after you create the wooden axe, it will switch over to this wooden this asker, which will have a wooden plank, sword, and coat. And that's one of the messages needed. So axe made. So when you create an axe, it will detect built axe tag, which is on the actual pickable. It sends a message axe made. So once you've made it, it turns this off and turns this on. So the next time you interact with the crafting table, you got more options. Of course, you don't have to use asker. In the resource management template, I used a lot of indicators where you can build items or purchase and sell items using key inputs. And this is the HUD resource changer. So there's a volume around the table. So when you walk up to the table, it switches your HUD to the resources. And when you walk away from the table, it switches your HUD to your statistics. So that way it's showing the relevant stats based on where you are. So if you're at the crafting table, you probably want to see your resources rather than your stats. So that's how I did that one. I've got a couple of askers here to detect. It detects the avatar as soon as the game begins, and then it lets them give an option to go to the logic floor or start game. If they click start game, or it will begin the game, and when they TP out from the logic floor, it will begin the game. So that way, when you go to the logic floor, it doesn't start the weather timer, so there won't be a nighttime and hunger issue just walking around the logic floor. It only starts when you actually start the game. All right, I know that was quite a bit of info, but that is all of it, I believe. A few things here that I would probably add. So here we got props and basic. We added a metal bucket, and we also added a water bottle. So there's survival games where you have to go through bins or shops that have not been used in ages, and there might be bottles lying around, or you might have a bottle of water that you need to fill up, or there might be a well that you need to go to the lake, get a bucket of water and bring it back to the well to fill it up. To help with your water levels, stuff like that. So do make use of these sort of assets. Even though I haven't added them into the game, you can add your own types of elements and resources, and these are now basic assets for you to use. But do you guys have any questions before I call it a day, pretty much? I know it's a lot of information to take in, but that's pretty much it when it comes to the survival template. So there's a lot here to unravel. There's a lot of customization you can do. One thing I should suggest is I'll just do a quick. I'll bring out the example with the axe so I can explain it better. So the avatar at the moment is holding that big invisible toolbox, but even though you can't see it. Did I just I need to now go and gather the wood. So even though I was just showing an example of how you can spread it around, you can see why I put it all together for the sakes of testing and making things quick. But let's build that crafting table, and let's build that axe. All right, so now we can press 1 to bring out the axe. You can see I kind of made it in the hand, but when you attack, you got different stances, and it's not exactly right. When you press another number, it disappears. You could have a symbol above the head. You can have a shield at the back of the player with the symbol. You can have animated little axes that are animated around the avatar, like circling. With the attack as well, You could trigger an animated decoration on the asset to do like an animation, an attacking animation from VoxEdit. So using some VoxEdit magic, even though it looks, because I have restrictions with basic assets when I make these templates, a bit of creativity in VoxEdit can make that not so lame. So that way you can have, it doesn't have to be something the avatar is holding. It could be something that's flying around them or rotating or magical or, you know, use your imagination here. But yeah, that is the purpose of it. Could change the color of their helmet, because if you have a headpiece on, it probably won't follow the head with this sort of animation. But you can have, you know, all sorts of different ideas when it comes to how you represent what sort of weapon is out and how it could interact with the environment. And it doesn't have to be realistic survival either. It could be magical survival. So you can use magic and crystals and auras and things like that. Okay, I can't see any questions in chat, so I take it it's all good. But if you do have any questions afterwards, you can reach out to me on Discord. Just send me a DM or ask the question in forum, and someone might tag me and I'll answer it there. It's up to you. But yeah, good luck in the game jam, and yeah, wish you all the best. Take care. Bye bye.